You know that feeling, right? You forgive someone, maybe a little too fast, and then you get that pit in your stomach, that feeling that you didn't really forgive them. You just made an excuse for them. It's a super fine line, but knowing the difference can change everything. So today, we're going to get right into it. The crucial difference between understanding and excusing.
I mean, just think about it for a sec. That friend who's always late, that coworker who drops the ball on another deadline, or maybe a family member who says something that just stings. We try to be the bigger person, right? But where is that line? Where does our empathy stop and enabling begin?
Okay, so what's really going on here is a tug of war between two very different things. On one side, you've got understanding. That's our empathy, our ability to see things from their side, to recognize their struggle. But on the other side, you've got excusing, and that's when we start to downplay what happened, justify their actions, and basically give a green light for bad patterns to happen again and again. And let's be super clear here. Understanding is an absolute superpower. It's when you can look at the bigger picture. It's being able to step back from a situation and think, okay, I get it. They're under a ton of stress at work, and that's why they snapped. You're seeing the why without saying the what was okay. That's empathy, plain and simple. But excusing, yeah, that's where we get into hot water. This is when our understanding crosses a line and becomes a justification. It's when we say stuff like, oh, that's just how they are when they're stressed. See what happened there? We just took away all of their responsibility to change and basically said the hurtful behavior was acceptable.
So if excusing is so obviously unhelpful, why on earth do we do it so often? Well, let's dig into some of the really common psychological reasons that pull us right into this empathy trap.
Okay, let's get real for a minute. Just think of a time when you totally bit your tongue and said, "It's fine," when on the inside you are fuming. It wasn't fine at all. What was it that stopped you from saying how you really felt in that moment?
Well, odds are it was one of these big ones. We're terrified of conflict, we just want to keep the peace. Or, maybe we feel guilty, or like we have to let it go. And then there's that big one, just hoping that if we ignore it, it'll magically fix itself. And look, these are all totally human reasons, but they almost always come at a cost to us.
And that cost, that's where the real damage comes in. So what's the big deal about letting a few things slide? Well, it turns out the long-term consequences are way more serious than we think.
This right here, this is how trust completely falls apart. It's a total slippery slope. It starts so small, with just one little excuse, but then the pattern repeats, and we excuse it again. And all the while, this resentment is just brewing right under the surface. It's like a quiet poison, and then one day you wake up and realize the trust, it's just gone. So here's the bottom line. When we keep excusing someone's behavior, we're not just letting them off the hook. No, it's so much bigger than that. We are actively enabling toxic patterns, we're destroying trust, and we're letting resentment grow. And maybe the biggest hit of all, we're damaging our own peace of mind by constantly putting our own needs last.
Okay, enough doom and gloom. How do we actually fix this? The answer isn't to become less compassionate or build up walls. It's to give our compassion a backbone by pairing it with some healthy, firm boundaries.
This is it. This is the fundamental mindset shift. You don't have to sacrifice your empathy to protect yourself. The goal is to hold two ideas at the same time. You can totally understand where someone is coming from and still hold them accountable for their actions. You can do both.
And the tool to get you there? It's actually surprisingly simple. It all comes down to this powerful little phrase, I understand, but. This is the magic formula. This is the bridge that takes you from just passively accepting bad behavior to practicing compassionate accountability.
So here's the playbook. It's a simple 3-step process. First, you start with empathy. You show them you see them. I understand you're stressed. Second, you state the boundary. Clean, clear, non-negotiable. But yelling at me isn't okay. And third, you say what you need to happen instead. I need us to speak to each other respectfully. See? It's not an attack. It's just a clear, respectful statement of your needs.
And wow, when you see it laid out side by side like this, the difference is just night and day. On one side, you've got that passive, enabling language. But on the other, you have language that is assertive, for sure, but it's still kind. You're shifting from just accepting a problem to actually addressing it with compassion. And that is a total game changer.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. The strongest, healthiest relationships, the ones that actually last, they aren't built on avoiding conflict. No way. They're built on the ability to move through conflict with both kindness and clarity. It's all about balancing our compassion for them with accountability for their actions.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Where in your life, with what person, can you try to practice this balance this week? Where can you stop making that excuse and instead lead with understanding, followed by a clear, kind boundary? Because doing this, it's not just an act of kindness to yourself, it's one of the kindest things you can possibly do for the relationship itself.